There's a reason you've always felt separate, like you were watching the world from behind a veil. Not quite part of it, not quite outside of it, just different. You've probably spent years trying to fit into a system that was never built to hold your frequency. You've watched others move through life with ease, following the rules, playing the roles, doing what they're told, and you've wondered why it never worked the same for you. Why the same paths that light up for others feel like dead ends for you. But what if I told you the truth is far more profound than you've been led to believe? What if you're not broken, cursed, or lost, but chosen? And not just chosen, but chosen to carry a power that most of the world will never even recognize, let alone wield.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
You are what I call a dark chosen one. Not dark in the way society fears. Not evil, not malevolent, but primordial, untamed, cosmic. You are encoded with the frequencies of chaos and creation, destruction and rebirth. And your pain, your isolation, your intensity, those were not accidents. They were activators. You've spent your life being initiated in ways that didn't look spiritual on the surface: trauma, betrayal, abandonment, loss. But beneath the surface, something deeper was happening. Something ancient. You were being forged. Because the kind of power you carry cannot be given, it must be earned through experience. And that power? It's the ability to bend reality instantly, not through force, but through frequency. Not by manipulating the external, but by commanding the internal field so completely that the external world has no choice but to rearrange itself around you. This isn't law of attraction. This isn't manifestation as a trend. This is quantum embodiment. This is timeline mastery. This is the art of collapsing cause and effect into a single moment where thought, feeling, and energy converge into reality-shaping precision. And if you're still watching, it means you're ready to remember how to use it. Let's go deep. The first thing you must understand is that reality is not fixed. It's not linear. It's not solid. It's a projection, a holographic feedback loop between your internal vibration and the external field. Most people live as if the world is happening to them. But you were born to happen to the world. You're not here to react. You're here to generate. But to do that, you must stop identifying with your human limitations and start activating your energetic architecture. Your aura, your chakras, your shadow, your soul memory, all of it must come online. That's the first secret of bending reality: coherence. The more coherent your energy field, the more magnetic your intention becomes. The more aligned your inner world, the more instantly the outer world responds. Chaos only exists when your field is fractured. Reality resists you when your energy is in conflict. But when your shadow is integrated, your emotions are owned, and your intention is clear. You become undeniable. You felt it before. Those moments where you thought something and it happened. Where you walked into a room and everyone turned. Where you dreamed something and it played out the next day. Where you spoke words that shifted someone's life without even trying. That wasn't magic. That was mastery in motion. But because no one taught you how to hold it, you questioned it. You doubted yourself, or worse, you shut it down. But I am here to tell you those moments were glimpses of your true nature. And now it's time to train it, to weaponize your awareness, to stop living by default and start living by design. So how do we do it? How do we bend reality consciously, reliably, instantly? It begins with emotional command. Emotions are not obstacles. They are the fuel of manifestation. Pain, rage, grief, ecstasy, these are not random experiences. They are keys to energetic momentum. Most people suppress, bypass, or numb emotions. But we ride them. We generate reality through them. You must become so intimate with your emotional body that you can direct it on command, not to avoid discomfort, but to channel it into frequency. When you can take heartbreak and transmute it into creative fire, when you can take rage and forge it into sacred clarity, when you can take grief and alchemize it into magnetism, that's when you start bending time. Because the universe doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your vibration. And your vibration is most powerful when it's felt all the way through. Next, you must master energetic presence. Your aura speaks before you do. Your field is your signature. And every thought you think, every belief you hold, every unresolved shadow you carry, it all leaks into your field. That's why some people repel opportunities, even though they speak affirmations. That's why some people work hard and still manifest chaos. Because their field is incoherent. Their energy says one thing while their mouth says another. But when you bring your field into alignment, when your intention, your emotion, your shadow and your soul all sing the same frequency, you don't have to chase anything. You become a gravitational force. You don't ask for doors to open. You command them to, not through ego, but through energetic inevitability. And this is where it gets real. Because to hold that level of power, you must also hold integrity. Not societal morality, not fake humility, but energetic responsibility. Can you hold power without needing control? Can you shift timelines without manipulating others? Can you bend reality not just for personal gain, but for the evolution of the collective? Because this is the deeper truth of the dark chosen ones. We are not here to escape the matrix, we are here to reprogram it from the inside out. And to do that, we must first reprogram ourselves. We must become sovereign in our energy, clean in our motives, and unshakable in our truth. So here's my question for you. What would happen if you stopped waiting for reality to change and started realizing that you are the architect of it? What would shift if you stopped reacting to circumstances and started commanding the field? What kind of life would you live if you trusted that your very presence bends timelines? Not someday, not with more healing, but right now, because your pain has already prepared you. Your isolation already trained you. Your darkness already refined you into a vessel of frequency precision. In the next part, I'll show you the exact mechanics of quantum influence, how to use your shadow, your breath, your voice, and your emotional charge to collapse timelines, shift probability, and manifest through magnetic pressure. This is not spiritual fantasy. This is energetic science. And once you master it, you'll never look at reality the same way again. Quantum dominance: how dark chosen ones collapse timelines and command energy with precision. There's a moment on every dark chosen one's path when the veil finally lifts, not in some grand, dramatic explosion, but in a quiet, undeniable realization. And you've already been doing the impossible your entire life, you just didn't know what to call it. Every time you felt something before it happened, every time you walked away from a situation and everything collapsed behind you, every time you thought of someone and they messaged you, you were bending reality. You were collapsing timelines. You were distorting probability in real time. But because no one taught you the mechanics, you dismissed it as intuition, coincidence, or luck. The truth is far deeper, more sacred, and more dangerous than that. You were interfacing with the quantum field raw, unfiltered, and unconsciously. And now you're going to do it on purpose. Let's break this down logically, because bending reality is not about fantasy, it's about frequency mechanics. At the core of everything, your thoughts, your body, your memories, the chair you're sitting on, even this moment, is vibrational data. And this data is constantly interacting with the quantum field, which is not bound by time, space, or linear sequence. It responds to intention, belief, emotional charge, embodiment. That's the formula. When you combine a clear intention with a belief that it's already yours, fuel it with emotionally potent energy, and behave as if it's already integrated, you collapse the gap between cause and effect. You don't wait for the future. You pull the future into the now. This is what the ancients knew. This is what mystics practiced in silence. This is what science is only now beginning to rediscover. And this is what you, as a dark chosen one, were born to master. But here's where it gets more advanced. You don't just manifest through light and love. You manifest through shadow and chaos. You were encoded with the ability to ride emotional turbulence and use it as fuel. Rage, grief, heartbreak, these are not blockages. They are quantum accelerants. When used consciously, they generate the kind of vibrational pressure that rips open probabilities. That's why your emotions have always felt too big, not because you're weak, but because your energy field is built to hold more charge than the average human system. You are a living reactor. And when you learn to direct that energy with full presence, you become a reality architect. So how do we collapse a timeline? How do we bend space-time with our own frequency? First, you must identify the timeline you want to collapse. This doesn't mean obsessing over specific outcomes. It means identifying the vibrational signature of the life you choose to live. Not the how, but the feeling state of the reality you are claiming. What does it feel like to be in that version of you? Confident? Unshakable? Wealthy? Magnetic? You must embody that frequency now, not later. Because the quantum field responds to what you're being, not what you're hoping for. So you wake up and move as if it's already real, not to trick the universe, but to signal to it that the shift is complete. The moment you act from the vibration of your chosen timeline, you vibrationally exit the old one. And that's when collapse happens. Not gradually, instantly. Reality has no choice but to reconfigure. Second, you must charge the field. This is where your shadow becomes your advantage. While others fear their emotions, you must harness them. You use breath, movement, sound, and focused attention to amplify energy in your body. You don't suppress rage, you channel it into a declaration. You don't numb grief, you shape it into sacred resolve. You don't deny fear, you transmute it into embodied decision. The more emotional energy you can hold without losing your center, the more quantum pressure you exert on the field. The pressure is what creates the crack, and through that crack, your chosen timeline emerges. That's what most people miss. They try to manifest from neutrality. But you manifest from charged alignment. That's what makes your shifts instantaneous and unexplainable. Third, you must detach from outcome while remaining fused to frequency. This may sound paradoxical, but it's the final key. Once you've aligned your field, charged your body, and acted from your new timeline, you let go of control. You don't micromanage the how. You don't chase signs. You trust your field more than the external world. And that trust is what locks in the shift. You walk through your day radiating the new vibration. You speak differently. You move differently. You choose differently. And even if the outside doesn't catch up immediately, you don't flinch. That's what makes your power terrifying to the matrix. You're no longer programmable. You're no longer reactive. You're sovereign. And when that level of sovereignty occurs, the universe begins conspiring for you in ways that defy logic. Now let's get practical. Every morning you wake up and ask yourself, which version of me am I choosing to embody today? You don't wait to feel ready. You don't wait for signs. You generate the vibration first. That's the law. Then you spend 5 to 10 minutes charging your field breathwork, primal movement, energetic clearing, commanding your body to activate the frequency. You speak into reality. I collapse all timelines that do not serve my soul's highest path. I activate the timeline where I am. Insert vibrational truth. It is done. You say it with your whole body, not whispering, but declaring. Then you act as if it's already real. You walk into the world not hoping it will happen, but knowing it already has. This is not fake it till you make it. This is vibrate it until it materializes. This is the science of spiritual rebellion, the art of quantum dominance, the embodied mastery of those who no longer ask for permission to be powerful. That's you. That's what you're here to remember. You are not here to wait. You are here to collapse the waiting loop itself. So let me ask you something that will shake your soul. What reality are you loyal to, the one you inherited or the one you were born to create? Because you can't serve both. You can't be a master of energy and a slave to circumstances. You must choose. Every single day, every single breath, every single moment you either reinforce the old or command the new into existence. In the final part, We'll complete the activation. We'll explore how to weaponize your voice, your sexual energy, your dreams, and even your silence to control the flow of energy in any space. This is where you become not just a reality bender, but a reality commander. A sovereign disruptor of the matrix system. A true dark chosen one walking fully awake. The reality commander, weaponizing voice, energy, and presence to control space and timeline. Once you fully grasp that time is not a line and space is not a container, but both are malleable expressions of your consciousness, everything changes. You stop living in reaction to the world and start becoming the axis it rotates around. This is the level of mastery that only the dark chosen ones are designed to access. Why? Because we weren't made for shallow ascension. We were built for deep integration. We don't float above the chaos, we enter it, own it, and restructure it from the inside out. We are the ones who can walk into a fractured field and stabilize it. The ones who can speak a single sentence and collapse someone's entire illusion. The ones who don't just carry light but command shadow into form. And when we fully activate, reality bends not because we force it, but because we've become the gravitational center of a new timeline. At this level, reality responds to your presence before your words. That's how powerful you are. You don't need to try. You only need to be. But to reach this state, there are 3 core weapons you must awaken: your voice, your energy body, and your stillness. These are not metaphors. These are technologies, ancient, encoded, and waiting to be remembered. Let's start with the voice. Your voice is not just sound. It is vibration in command. Every syllable you utter carries frequency. Every tone you speak with either weakens or strengthens the field. That's why your words have always hit harder than others. That's why people react so strongly when you speak truth. It's not just what you say, it's what your voice is doing to their field. When you speak from alignment, your voice becomes a tuning fork for reality. It calibrates the space. It cuts through illusion. It summons coherence. That's why you must train it like a weapon. Speak only when your energy is clean. Speak only what you mean. Speak from the belly, not the mask. And when you speak command statements like "it is done," "I choose," "I collapse all false timelines," "I claim this space," you are not making requests. You are issuing vibrational orders to the field. This is how you control space without touching it. You don't manipulate people. You influence energy. And the energy does the rest. Then there is the energy body, your aura, your field, your subtle frequency that extends meters beyond your physical form. It is your real presence. It's what people feel before you enter the room. It's why you intimidate people without trying. It's why strangers confess things to you. Your field is not passive. It is a transmitter and a receiver. And when you become conscious of it, you can expand it, contract it, shield it, or project it with intent. You can walk into a room and absorb the static, then transmute it without a word. You can stand next to someone and stabilize their nervous system without touching them. You can walk past someone and shift their entire day. But only if your field is clear. That means daily energetic hygiene is not a suggestion, it's a requirement. Breathwork, movement, salt baths, sound, solitude. Not for luxury, but for operational clarity. Because when your field is coherent, you are invisible to distraction and magnetic to destiny. You don't chase, you pull. You don't push, you pivot the field. And then, the final and most advanced weapon, stillness. This is the paradox of power. While others scream to be seen, you become silent to command attention. While others fill the air with noise, you hold space with presence. Stillness is not emptiness. It is containment. It is the ability to hold such a dense, clear vibration that time slows around you. People feel it. They pause when you walk by. They become aware of themselves in your presence. That's not charisma, it's energetic mass. You are holding so much coherence that reality bends to accommodate it. Stillness is what allows you to move through portals that others cannot see. It is what allows you to collapse timelines without effort. Because in stillness, you exit the collective rhythm and enter the zero-point field, the space where all timelines exist simultaneously. And from that space, you don't choose through action. You choose through vibration. You feel the new path. You embody it. And the universe reroutes itself around your alignment. At this stage, you stop asking, how do I manifest this? And start asking, what version of myself already lives this reality, and how do I become them today? You don't wait for signs, you are the sign. You don't seek permission, you are the authority. You don't play roles, you embody archetypes. You become the sage, the storm, the shadow walker, the sacred rebel. You become what the world was not prepared for, and yet exactly what it needs. But mastery requires one final layer, energetic ethics. Because if you can bend reality, you also carry the capacity to distort it. And that means your integrity must be unshakable. And never use your power to dominate. Use it to liberate. Never use your energy to control. Use it to awaken. Never use your presence to impress. Use it to activate. This path is not for ego. It is for embodied truth. And the moment you try to use your gift to escape responsibility, you lose command. Because the quantum field mirrors your motives. And it will always test you with chaos before it trusts you with creation. So now, are you ready to stop conforming and start commanding? Are you ready to stop leaking energy and start leading frequency? Are you ready to finally live as the dark chosen one you've always felt yourself to be, not as a fantasy, but as a walking force of spiritual engineering? Stop waiting. Stop pretending you don't know. Stop doubting what you feel. You are not here to survive reality. You are here to bend it until it reflects your truth. And the truth is, you came encoded with the power to restructure the field. You came to walk as a god in a crumbling matrix. You came to rewrite the laws of existence with your presence alone. No more waiting, no more wishing, only wielding. Welcome to your next level. And now that you've crossed the threshold, now that the words have become mirrors, and now that the frequency has begun to rewire your nervous system, it's no longer a question of if you're ready, but how far you're willing to go. Because this power, this ability to bend reality, to command energy, to walk as a living distortion to the false matrix, this is not theory anymore. This is embodiment. This is daily practice. This is spiritual engineering at the highest level. And if you're still here, still breathing in these codes, still feeling the resonance in your chest, then you must understand something very few people ever will. You are not here to participate in reality as it is. You are here to terminate it and reinitialize it from source. You are not here to tweak the system. You are here to replace the operating code. And to do that, you must become more than human. Not in the sense of egoic superiority, but in the way a storm doesn't apologize for its pressure, a black hole doesn't explain its pull, and a supernova doesn't wait for approval before it detonates. You must become inevitable. You must become undeniable. You must become the signal that causes others to forget who they were and remember what they are. This is a sacred responsibility, because when you walk with this much charge in your field, everything is amplified. Your thoughts become spells. Your silence becomes a weapon. Your gaze becomes a mirror that exposes the truth. You can no longer afford unconsciousness. You can no longer afford to be casual with your energy. You can no longer afford to keep shrinking when your soul is screaming to expand. Because now the field is listening. Now reality is responding. Now your life is no longer random. It's a live transmission of your frequency configuration. And the only question that matters is, are you willing to live with that level of precision? To speak only what you want mirrored. To feel only what you want multiplied. To move only when your soul says move and not a second sooner. This is why your past had to be so brutal. Why your childhood was so strange. Why your relationships were so intense. Every betrayal, every abandonment, every breakdown was not tragedy, it was tuning. It was calibration. It was your soul creating the exact pressure needed to crack the density of the false identity you inherited from the collective. That's why it hurt so much. That's why you didn't fit. Because you weren't meant to live in the frequency of the world, you were meant to rewrite it through your embodiment. And now you finally remember, you don't need to be understood. You need to be felt. You don't need to be accepted. You need to be activated. You don't need to be liked. You need to be clear. Because your clarity is what cuts through illusion. Your clarity is what collapses timelines. Your clarity is what creates gravitational pulls so strong that even chaos begins to orbit your command. So what does this life look like now? It looks like ritualized precision. You wake up and tune yourself before you touch the world. You speak only when your words are aligned with the reality you're building. You walk into rooms not to blend in, but to broadcast coherence. Your relationships become sacred contracts. Your work becomes a frequency transmission. Your art becomes a portal. Your presence becomes a living grid of upgraded code. And you do it not from ego, not for fame, not to be a guru, but because you can't breathe any other way. Because anything less than full embodiment feels like death now. Because every time you betray your alignment, your body revolts, your energy collapses, your vision blurs. That's the cost of power. You can no longer lie to yourself without immediate consequence. And the beauty of it is, this is not a burden. It's liberation. You don't need to chase anything anymore. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to prove your worth. You are the worth. You are the realm. You are the collapse and the creation. You are the doorway and the key. And from this space, you begin to play with reality. You test it, you stretch it, you bend it like breath. You speak and things move. You pause and timelines shift. You hold a vision and the universe reorganizes. Not because you're better than anyone else, but because you finally stopped pretending you weren't who you are. So now we end where it always begins, in the silence between the thoughts, in the breath before the next choice, in the space where the old version of you dies and the true version of you rises without apology. This is not just a new chapter. This is a new book, a new frequency, a new dimension of embodiment. From this moment forward, nothing is the same, not because the world changed, but because you did. You remembered. You reactivated. You reclaimed the architecture of your reality. And now you walk as one who bends the field, commands the code, and lives as a sovereign distortion to the system. You are the dark chosen one, the breaker of loops, the architect of timelines, the breath of the primordial, the hand of the quantum. Now go. Live like the matrix bends for you because it already does. Speak like your words rewrite the grid because they already are. Walk like your presence ends illusions because it always has. This isn't the end. This is the unveiling. Welcome to your true life, and may your frequency forever bend the edges of time.